ready to rock and roll today? This is my first time using this editing software, so if my audio is weird, please let me know. I guess. Let's see how things go. I'm really liking my firebrand. I guess it is kind of like the white mage version of FF. I'm also like super enjoying Cantha. Oh my god, it's so fucking gorgeous. Just absolutely beautiful. Okay, here's the thing, right? Like, and hear me out here. I love Kugane in Final Fantasy XIV. I really do. I really, really love it. But, I actually kind of like how Guild Wars 2 does it better. Like, I feel like Guild Wars 2 just does the, like, you know, MIDI. And I think part of it is, like, Kugane also kind of involves, like, Kugane is, like, the Japan kind of thing, but then, like, you kind of get into, like, mainland China type thing with, like, the Azim Steppe. So, I feel like that's part of it, and I also just feel like the art style kind of, like, the painted art style kind of lends itself really well here. But, I think I like Cantha better than I like Kugane. I mean, it's hard to, like, compare them because they are very, like, different games and different art styles, but, like, yeah, there's a part of me that really likes Cantha a lot. Hi, Nero! How are you today? Let me know how my audio is and stuff. I still have a bit of a cough. My, allergies have been acting up. This is my little, like, firebrand. Oh my god, so much to talk about. So much has happened. I finished End of Dragons. I haven't finished all the, like, patch quest to the new expansion. I don't know if more are coming. So the new expansion is coming out on August 22nd. And I don't know if more is coming out in between then or not. Yeah, so much. Oh my god. And I got all the classes past Heart of Thorn. So I got every spec, like every class past Heart, not every spec, but every class past Heart of Thorns. And I also got, I have Engineer and Ranger pretty much at the end of Dragons. Firebrand, I'm kind of getting through there. And even though I like playing a Ranger, I decided to go with, like, the Axe Focus build. One, because the shields from the Focus are just so overpowered. It's pretty cool. And then also, I love Guardian, because each of the individual, like, elite masteries are so different and useful. And also, like, the ability to just passively spam fire and healing out from me at any given moment is just very, very useful. It does mean that I feel like I do a lot more damage passively than I do, like, actively, though. I'm not doing that. What's the other thing? I don't know. So, I know that in the new expansion, Zosha's gonna be a thing again, which is the Asuran, you know, person, which I am all here for because we had way too much Ritlock. Like, I think one of the best things they did was take Ritlock kind of out of it for End of Dragons, because if you really think about it, Heart of Thorns, Path of Fire, all that Living World content, and the Icebrood Saga, all fucking Ritlock. Like, so much Ritlock involved. And I feel like, I mean, Casimir and Marjorie are always there in some capacity. They weren't really there. Oh, okay, Casimir was there. Marjorie wasn't really there. Alright, cool, yeah. Hopefully it goes well. I feel like... Hey! The reconnection was successful, though. Look at that. Look at that! That actually reconnected okay. Like, yeah, I disconnected. That happens. But I actually reconnected without having to wait forever. So that was actually pretty decent. I thought that was going to be a whole lot worse. I mean, I knew it was going to happen, but I thought it was going to be a whole lot worse. So, I guess there's that. Right as I talk about it, it of course happens. Of course. Um... I mean, yeah, Zosia's coming back, which is good, because we have had, like, no Zosia at all. Like, it's gotta be weird if you don't play an Asura and you haven't tried playing an Asura. Because, like, Zosia kind of shows up occasionally, but then just, like, disappears and you don't know anything about her. If you do play an Asura, you're probably a little bit, like, you probably, like, understand, like, you know who Zosia is a little bit better. But, like, yeah, she doesn't really show up in the story as much as she should, really. There's a lot of things where I feel like we could utilize Zosia. I mean, I know we're going to be demon hunting. That's the other thing. Because we got the demon hunter title. I know demons are a thing, because I got through some of the, like, patchy stuff between now and then. There might be more, like, because I know sometimes it's, like, weekly stuff. Oh, that might be why I disconnected, because Leviathan's up, so that's a huge meta event. That's gonna be a lot of people coming in. So there's that. Like, Zosia coming back is good. Felicia Day's voice acting her, and I love Felicia Day. So that's gonna be, like, absolutely amazing. I'm here for that. I'm trying to, like, put all my thoughts together. End of Dragons was absolutely amazing. I feel like they definitely are keeping to their own thing, but I also feel like they did take some good inspiration from Final Fantasy as well, especially when it comes to story, because a lot of times I feel like Guild Wars 2 is a little disconnected when it comes to story. Like, if you, like, Guild Wars 2 is its own thing, but it definitely takes inspiration from, like, World of War. In the beginning, the first definitely inspiration from World of Warcraft, Elder Scrolls Online, all that stuff. You can kind of see them taking inspiration from other games, like, in the other expansions. Like, Heart of Thorns is kind of, like, since it was their first attempt at, like, kind of doing this big expansion, it's kind of a clusterfuck. Like, to be 100% honest, Heart of Thorns, it's not terrible, but it is one of the most hated expansions for a reason. And that's just because it's extremely, I feel like they didn't get the difficulty settings right. And also, it's still got a lot of these, like, residual, kind of, like, buggy things going on. And that's its own, like, thing. I don't think Heart of Thorns is, like, super horrible. I did get all my classes up through there. The New Look Hollows, where, like, the, like, toad people live, is one of the worst maps I have ever played through. Not because it's badly designed, it's just infuriatingly designed. Right now I'm my Guardian Firebrand. So, Guardian with the Firebrand, spec, which is, like, the healer spec of Guardian, but, it's got some, it's, like, the magey spec of Guardian. And Guardian is probably one of the most, like, versatile classes, and it's my favorite class. Which actually brings me, good thing, Nero, because that kind of brings me to my next, little thing, is that in the new expansion, we're not getting a new elite spec, we're getting the ability to swap elite spec weapons, and new weapons added. So Guardians are going to be able to dual wield pistols now, which is going to be kind of fun, and I'm curious to see what they do with that. Not only are we going to be able to dual wield pistols, if you're a Firebrand, you can now wield the Dragon Hunter's longbow, and vice versa. If you're a Dragon Hunter, you can now wield the, Guardian's axe and, like, axe, thing. Or the Firebrand's axe thing. And then, like, if you, you can now dual wield swords like a Willbender too, no matter what spec you're in. And that brings up so many new build options, and, like, all the classes are getting these new build options depending, like, so that means, like, I could technically use staff skills and not be a druid on ranger, which I would prefer. Or I could use the blade sworn weapon and not need to be a blade sworn on warrior, which might be fun. there's like, there's a lot of things. They're like greatly adding the build. The other thing that I'm really excited about is Mesmers are getting rifles. And while I don't usually like Mesmer, rifle builds in Guild Wars 2 are overpowered as hell. I love Deadeye's rifle. I love Engineer's rifle. Warrior's rifle is fair. It's a good ranged, it's a very solid ranged option for warriors. And then Revenants are also getting Scepters, which I think is really good because Revenants don't have a lot of ranged options. Their staff skills aren't ranged. So the only ranged options Revenants get are taking, I think, the Vindicator, Vindicator's the Great Sword, Renegade. So if Revenants take Renegade, they can get a short bow. But they don't actually get, like, they don't get a lot of ranged options, so I think giving them a Scepter is really good. Yeah, no, Mesmers getting rifles might make me go back to Mesmers. Necromancers can now dual-wield swords, which might actually make me love Necromancer. Because, okay, my thing about Necromancer, this kind of dives in, I got all the classes past Heart of Thorns, and I really got to kind of, I pretty much got all the specs done of the ones that I was playing through. So that's Scourge, Daredevil, you know, Ranger I have, because I want to get all the pets. So I have it almost through End of Dragons, because I basically with Ranger, I get all the pets, unlock all the areas, and then I'm kind of just done with Ranger. I don't actively Ranger's not my favorite class in this game, which is weird, because usually I love pet classes. But I hate all of the elite specs for Ranger. Like, if I'm going to play a Ranger, I'm literally, actually, that's kind of on my list of things to do today, is to go into my Ranger and just make it a Ranger. None of the elite specs, because I fucking hate all of them. Now, Druid is the one I like the most, and that's just because I play healing classes a lot. However, Ranger feels really overpowered in the base game. After the base game, Ranger starts to feel less overpowered. And it starts to feel very, very squishy. And I don't know if that's just how I play Ranger. Like, I might need to go in and change all my specs up, change all my weapons up, etc., etc., etc. And I know I need to do that. I need to get, like, a nice, decent longbow for Ranger right now. Because I was doing, like, Soul Beast or whatever, which utilizes poison, so I was using short bows because they have more poison, but I wasn't liking Soul Beast, so that was a whole waste of gold. But, like, Ranger, I like all the pet options that it has, but it's not my favorite. Necromancer, Scourge, which doesn't utilize the Shroud skill the same way, which was kind of the issue I had with it, and I kind of have it a little bit. It's the same thing I have with Druid as well. I don't like it when I have to, like, when I switch to a different tier. Like, Firebrand has it a little bit, but that's more like your tome. So you get different, like, tome skills based on what you want to do. Like, healing, you know, damage, etc., etc., etc. But it doesn't, like, change how things really look, and I can kind of drop it without a lot of crazy repercussions. Like, my weapon skills are pretty decent, so I don't feel the repercussions of it. And also, I feel like the totem skills have enough kind of, like, utility that I don't feel like they are useless the same way, if that makes sense. Like, switching in and out of Shroud on Necromancer, it feels like Necromancer, I don't like that it makes, first of all, I don't like that it makes the whole skill, like, whole thing green. I don't like that. I don't like it when it changes everything to be, like, everything in the screen to be green. And now, maybe, maybe there's a way not to have that happen, and I just haven't found it in the user interface. That is entirely plausible. But I fucking hate having the entire screen go dark green. And that's what really irritates me about it. And also, like, the whole Life Force thing. I don't like that. And Scourge was fair. I think it was a fair caster. It does a lot of really nice utility things very well, which is what it's supposed to do. I have also played a bit of Reaper. Reaper is, I think the sight skills are fun. Again, I just don't like that it makes everything green. I don't like that, like, giant color, because I get overloaded really easily. So if too many things are going off at once, my brain shuts down. So I can't have that happening, which is why I did Scourge this time around. Because that doesn't happen. But, Necromancer is a really solid caster. I also don't really like a lot of Necromancer's elite specs. They're just not really my cup of tea. I get it. It's not, not my cup of tea. So, there's that. But I think Necromancer is a really fair caster. Mesmer I actually had more fun with than Necro, surprisingly enough, but that's because I chose Virtuoso, which is kind of like playing Dancer in FF14, except you're, like, throwing daggers at everyone. Hang on, I think everyone's in Radasu. But, yeah, so I am, like, I got through a lot of things. Actually, on Guardian right now, I've kind of played every different spec, and Dragon Hunter was fair, it was decent. It didn't feel as impactful as I would have liked it to have felt. I'm very excited to get the longbow for Firebrand so that I can essentially kite things from afar and then get them closer to me, because Firebrand, one of the axe skills, does pull enemies into you, but not at I'm a ranged player usually, so this has kind of been a doozy for me to like adjust to not being ranged. And I guess there is like your focus, like Ray of Judgment is a pretty good ranged skill. It's just like I'm usually used to having everything be ranged, and not having everything be ranged is an adjustment to me. I don't really like that. Although I have to admit, I might transfer, like I had daggers on my Deadeye, and I might transfer that to dual wielding pistols, because dual wielding pistols on Thief is actually kind of fun, and I haven't really played around with it as much as I would have liked. I guess I could have jumped that. I'm just gonna get this little Jade Bot thing. Yeah, but I'm really excited to get rifles for Mesmer, because I can see it being like Deadeye, but maybe not as snipery. And rifle skills in this game tend to be really fun. So that would be kind of a fun thing to really experiment with. And then we're also, we're getting Demon Hunter's attire. We're gonna go fight demons, essentially. We're getting new teleportation options. Oh, that's why things are kind of, okay, it might move. That's, let's, I mean, I technically am on the quest that's like, go to the Echo Vault Wilds, so maybe I'll just go here. But, like, yeah, we're getting all those options, and then also Skyscale. Finally, I don't have to grind. I am on the final tier for Skyscale.
Fallout?
And
they are talking about a tribunal, Commander.
Skyscale is extremely difficult to get. It has caused me copious amounts of pain and grinding and more pain, and I would be very excited to, I guess, get it without needing all of that pain, and if they are adding that, that would be great. Oh, speaking of that, do you want to talk about
She has a plan to help.
Okay,
which means
so
the Empress is probably
in
on our side.
FF14, there's a character named Wedge.
Navon is taking
And
me to a sanctuary
Wedge
in the Echovold
kind
forest.
of doesn't get the character development I feel like he
Detective Rama's
deserves.
thrown his impressive hat in
And
with us as
Gorik is like
Gorik,
a
meet me in
better
Echovold.
version of
Kaz,
Wedge.
Timey, keep doing what you're doing.
Gorik is kind of what Wedge should have been. Gorik in End of Dragons gets sassy as fuck, and I live for it. I live for Gorik in this game. He's an Asura like myself, and like you meet Gorik in the Living World after Path of Fire. So that'd be Living World Season 3, I think. You meet Gorik and his brother Blish. And they have a very interesting long-lasting relationship, and it's this whole thing, and yada yada. But Gorik's not, like, sassy. He's an entomologist. He does a lot of stuff. But he's not, like... He's not sassy. He's not exactly, like... He's very much, like, kind of how we, like, he's very technical, like most of Sura. Definitely, you know, got the spark of life, like most of Sura. But, at the same time, like... Gorik, in End of Dragons, he gets duped, he goes through character development, he gets a whole, like, we actually get to see Gorik in combat, which we've never seen before. He's a holosmith, like an engineer holosmith, by the way. So we get to see Gorik in combat. He makes all of these, like, bug analogies, which are just amazing. As, like, somebody who lives in, like, a researcher nerd household, like, having a character just be, like, making these bug analogies to, like, killing enemies based on, like, things like that, incredible. I love, End of Dragons is very fitting to its name, and it's also fucking gorgeous. This expansion is absolutely beautiful. I'm not in the most prettiest zone now, actually, but abso-fucking-lutely beautiful. And I am, like, there is, like, shimmer on things, and, like, the graphics are stunning. Suwon, like the giant water dragon, absolutely, like, stunning. The like shimmer, they've nailed this, like, shimmer effect on dragon scales that you don't really see on Irene because she's a prismatic dragon, but you see it on, like, the saltwater dragons, like they're like some of the saltwater dragons, and you see it on Suwon, who is a giant water dragon, and it's incredible. Like, the graphic quality gets much better. I'm not in the prettiest zone, but it's still, it gets so much better. They really, like, hammer into that, like, painted on style. Should probably mount up. Yeah, they really, like, hammer into that painted on style. The new expansion, yeah, it looks like we're hunting demons, mostly. And we'll see how the Wi-Fi does here in an instance. Actually, maybe I shouldn't have done this. This is kind of a spoilery fight.
I'd love to open that disguise
spoiler wordings for this whole instance I'm about to do. It kind of does drop a lot of, like, spoiler stuff. I apologize. I was just kind of going on autopilot. I probably shouldn't have done that. Okay, if you have not played End of Dragons and you don't want to be spoiled, don't
tell me stories.
Don't watch this part. I'll try to skip the cutscenes. But some of the stuff is not exactly cutscene related. You might forget about this if you're very far behind. But, yeah. So, Arborstone's also really, really pretty. I like that they added some sort of, like, rest zone. Like, Arborzone is technically a resty type zone. I like this addition. I know that the new Wizard's Tower is going to be a similar situation. Let's see if I can handle this. I'm not good at melee. I'm gonna be completely honest. My melee skills are still not very ideal, not where I want them to be. I'm getting better at playing Firebrand. I will say that. Like, I am getting better at it. I'm getting a lot better at the whole melee thing from that, but, that wasn't what I meant to do. And then my passive ability to just burn and heal everything is quite nice, honestly. Radiance and Zeal. Definitely my favorite, Guardian combo. Yeah, the placement of that was, 2 FF14 mechanic-wise, but because it's Guild Wars 2, the way you go about solving that mechanic is different. So I'm also trying to piece together that one. Because Guild Wars 2 does more like dodgy dodges, and FF doesn't. Yeah, that was gonna hit me. I think I might be, yeah, it was gonna hit me. Also, I love Detective Rama in End of Dragons. They add a lot of new characters. They add June, they add Detective Rama, they kind of expand on Marjorie and Kaz, which was definitely a, like, they don't have Casimir up with us as much, which I think is a good thing, because Casimir is kind of with you a lot in Path of Fire, and Marjorie is not. And Marjorie also being, like, descended from Cantha, which has been gone for, you know, like, 200 years or whatever. It's basically, so Japan had this thing where they were closed to outside influence for a while. And that's basically what Cantha's no longer close to outside influence, mostly because we end up crashing kind of on their shore, and it's a problem. But Casimir really embracing this like diplomatic thing and not being
together.
I thought so too, but on closer inspection,
not
they
being
appear to be
like
constructs of some kind, made up of an unidentified
I would say
magic.
like
Not
with
same
us.
one
It's
we
probably a
found
good
in
thing
the
that she was with
reactor.
us a lot in Path of
Perhaps we
Fire.
should move this discussion into the warded cathedral.
Like her and
Unless
Ritlock
you
were
prefer
with
to
us a lot in
conduct
Path of
further
Fire, and she
research
wasn't.
firsthand.
I would say in the
No,
Icebird
that's not
Saga, she
necessary.
isn't not with us the same way Marjorie is, but she's
Commander, I'm
definitely
not trying to panic, but what on Tyria did we
more
just encounter?
around, especially
new
given
kind of
that
dragon minion,
Rita needs
they
to be
must belong
talking
to
to
Su
the
Wan.
Char.
Logical assumption,
Um,
but shouldn't hers be water?
so
Didn't
she
look
definitely
like any
is
water
more
I've
around. So
ever
like having
seen.
her kind of take a backseat in this
Really think
expansion
the
was a
wards will
smart
kick them
move.
out, Navon?
And
I
then
can't be
kind of
certain,
bringing to the forefront,
but I
like we
hope
meet
so.
Nirvan here, bringing to the forefront Gorick, and adding in Detective Rama. Well, Mai isn't really added,
Does it
but
always look this way?
No, not at all. I don't know what could have happened. I left a powerful guardian in charge.
oh yeah, this is the spooky
Awfully
part.
quiet. Was it?
Again, this is
Just
kind of
Ishan?
spoilery,
No,
and I
we
went
should
into
be hearing
autopilot
laughter
and did
and
this,
song
and I maybe shouldn't have.
Crackling fires.
Um,
There was a large group taking shelter.
Was being the operative word.
If there's anyone here, we'll find them.
yeah. So like, I like the End of Dragons does have some pacing issues, but I feel like all the Guild Wars 2 expansions kind of have some pacing issues. Path of Fire actually.
Their faces
Path
are
of Fire
blue.
didn't feel as bad pacing
Do they all
wise. Now that I
choke?
really think
No.
about it.
Take
Um,
a closer look at the cheeks.
It could have been worse.
Died in their sleep.
There definitely are some
Smoldering
pacing issues
embers in the
expansion-wise. That doesn't mean
What's
they're
the time
bad.
of death?
But there's like this whole
Sometime in the
thing
last
where
week.
like shit hits the fan, and you kind of have to like go back and try to convince people, and you spend like I feel like they're trying to make like New Kaineng feel like a home-based city, but then they made Arborstone the rest zone, which doesn't
Really?
really work if that's the case. And I know like the whole rest zone thing is still relatively new. So it kind of makes sense it being like relatively new. Maybe they're not entirely sure. I'm about to disconnect, aren't I? Let me give my Wi-Fi a moment. I might be about to disconnect. I don't want to finish that thought if I'm about to disconnect. The good news is if the game does disconnect, I will have to replay all that again, and then I won't accidentally do the spoilery thing. But it also might not want me to do that one yet either. Let's just see what happens. Also, playing End of Dragons, the amount of times your character gets the option to eat sushi and you get to choose what kind of sushi, they had to have had some sort of deal with the sushi place, because now I keep wanting to order sushi.
What happened
Okay,
here?
I just didn't want me to do that one yet.
They looked like they were in the
Now
middle
I
of
keep wanting to
unpacking.
order sushi,
It's
like
just
24/7. Because of how many times your
hollow.
character eats sushi in fucking
All
End
the
of
internal
Dragons.
organs are
Or
gone.
has the option
no visible
to,
wounds.
like, eat sushi.
Where the hell did they go?
Like, I am
Not
like,
me.
you had to have been sponsored by some sushi place, because the amount of times it's like, the amount of times, like, I'm playing through this, because this is, like, my third character going through this, and I'm just like, oh my god, now I want, like, you know, like a matcha or something. I'm like, oh my, yeah, it's absolutely, okay.
Their faces are horrified. Like they were scared to death. Literally.
Poor bastards. Kicked around their whole